This is Bottom of the Bill.
But yeah, bro, like I can't compete with sports, especially like a Jaguars game. Everything revolves around the Jaguars here. Music is not the culture here. It is football and surfing.
Yeah.
If I'm playing music in a bar and you want me to entertain your crowd, why would you make me compete with the television? I was at a place down in Orlando, televisions are on and they're playing movies, like old movies with no sound or subtitles. I'm like, why do you even have them on?
Wow.
It's like, can you just turn them off and let this guy have a little spotlight?
Yeah.
He's playing songs that he wrote. And so I looked at my friend and I was like, hey man, I'm not playing here.
Yeah.
Like I'm not above, like a gig, but at the same time, this isn't a gig and I don't need to be here on a night off. You know what I mean?
I kind of like it because it tells me how hard I have to work that night. And I don't like working harder than I have to. If you're telling me that you don't give a fuck, then I definitely don't give a fuck. And I appreciate that.
We've not played until games have been over, just because, I mean, we've played when games are going on or a room full of people that's cheering for something that just happened.
Yeah.
Will definitely be louder than anything you're playing. And that hurts.
Totally,
Sometimes
man.
It definitely hurts.
It's why so many people in towns like this give up on playing music, because there's no support from people outside of that are directly involved with music. Welcome everybody to another edition of Bottom of the Bill. This week we got Jon Deering, bass player with Bryce Alastair and formerly Firewater Tent Revival. Before we get started and all that, though, we are going to do our little weekly catch-up. So buckle in, kids. What's up, Chris?
What's up?
Just chilling.
Good week last week.
Yeah. It was had a couple. I only had like 2 gigs, so that wasn't good. But
we're getting there.
I started doing like microdosing edibles.
What?
Which has been a real game changer for me.
Wow. That's where we landed, man. Mr. Not anti-weed, but you're not never known you as a weed guy.
Yeah,
now you're popping edibles like it's candy.
I don't particularly like smoking weed or the effects of taking like high doses of edibles. However, I find that a nice 2.5 milligram, maybe 2-to-1 ratio CBD THC kind of mix is a real good happy place for me.
Okay.
And then anything more than that, though, I mean, I'll eat like 5 milligrams and it starts to become a bit of a problem.
Sure. those become living room days. You don't really get out of the house too much.
I don't get out of my head, dude. I'm just like, yeah.
Eesh.
So,
well, that's cool. Has that been like kind of replacing coffee and caffeine? Does that get you to like a up and elevated space, or is it just kind of like a sets the tone for the headspace and day kind of thing? It's
more of that. I think it doesn't like wake me up or anything, but it makes me feel just like happier.
Nice.
So it's like I think a lot of the reason why I procrastinate on things and like have such like ebbs and flows of productivity is because like sometimes you just get depressed about shit.
Sure, totally.
So it's like rather than replacing like that thing or like filling that void with caffeine and energy drinks and like pre-workouts and stuff, just like taking that tiny bit of edible, it's like not even really a high, it just kind of like really relaxes me and like puts me like, it just makes me like happy,
That's awesome.
So then that gives me like enough energy alone to like be productive.
Then you start working and that feeds itself a little bit, kind of gets you going during the day, exciting and stuff like that.
Yeah. Now I do have to be careful with what kind of work I choose to do while I take it, because
Sure.
I do, like, for instance, I probably wouldn't take one before we do a podcast right now.
Yeah.
Because like my mind wanders for sure.
Really?
Yeah. I'll be zoning out and it's like 5 minutes go by. I'm like, damn, wait, I just like lost where I was at.
What was I doing?
Yeah. So a little bit of that happens, but I really enjoy like playing and like practicing.
Yeah.
While I'm on it, like not playing in like a real setting, but just like alone by myself.
Sure, like flow state playing and stuff like that.
That's become like my favorite thing to do now.
Nice. Yeah, that was always my favorite part of weed, was playing, just because it just did feel like you could kind of, maybe tap in or channel into some cool stuff. but the rest of it got to be pretty not great. So
Yeah, you get in your head about things.
All the
you can,
time.
you know. That's
I feel you though. Like a little bit before I go on stage is pretty much the only thing I'll do nowadays. Like if there's a rotation going or something, I'll grab a little bit and kind of get into that flow state thing, and then I play for about an hour and a half, and then it pretty much recedes off because I only took a little bit anyway, and then I get off stage. I'm not all paranoid. It's like the best of both worlds.
yeah, exactly.
It's great.
Yeah. So
Well, cool. You've unlocked a new hack.
well, we'll see how long it lasts for. You know, everything comes and goes. It
Yeah.
feels like.
You know,
What's up with you?
had a busy weekend, a good weekend. It was like very much it. I was thinking about it. It felt like a very hired gun weekend, which I hadn't done a lot of those in a while. Played with Jeremy, Alex, and Hamby. Those are the same people, Alex and Hamby. KP, Jeremy, and Alex. Thursday at Southern Grill. And like put together a cool set list, a lot of transitions. It was all real smooth. Everyone kind of came in and executed. So it was a really fun gig. The grill's always fun to play. People came out and were checking it out.
Yeah.
Then we did FinFest with Kalani on Friday, which was a blast. Had a pretty good turnout. It was raining right at the top of our set, and then like it broke and the sun came out. So like that was fun. Like people kind of came out like as it was getting nicer, and then hung out the rest of the day out there. Saw Babe Honey play with a bunch of our buddies. Monahan was on kit, Elon was on guitar, Jeremy Prince was on bass.
Oh, hell yeah.
It was killing. They played really well. And saw like Max Danger do a set. Saw Fortunate Youth and Swayze. So like got to like hang out after we played. That's playing first at the festival is always best. You get that out of the way and then just check it out the rest of the day. So,
Yeah, for sure.
so that was a lot of fun. And then Saturday and Sunday I played with Madison Hughes, and those sets went really well. The band was just really locked in. All the rehearsals seemed to like work and everything. And the music was just like spot on, and everyone really delivered. So that was a lot of fun. Just a great weekend of like really different stuff, like Southern rock, fusion, reggae, and then like this soul, blues, country fusion. It was just like all across the map, but very, very fun.
Nice.
And then I woke up Monday exhausted. I was like, just ready to rest and reset after that.
Yeah, man. Let's talk about that new Alchematic release.
Dude, so I guess that's out now, right?
Yeah.
This is out. Yeah. Thank you everyone for streaming and listening and checking it out. It's so weird to say when you pre-record this stuff.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, man, it's out. The video and single have dropped. And just the process of getting that out has been really cool. But we've started like, I guess now before it's officially out, we started showing people, bits and pieces of the video, and that's been received really well. And
it
the
looks
single,
like phenomenal.
yeah, I just showed Anton a little 30-second teaser, and yeah, Miles Dante shot it for us. He's been a long time collaborator, guest, all that stuff. And he's just real good at what he does. I mean, he gets the calls for the reason. So, Miles, you did awesome work.
Shout out.
So, yeah, if you haven't checked it out yet and you're watching this episode, open up a new tab, go watch that video, see what we're talking about, and then come finish the episode.
Well, wait.
What?
I said we'll wait.
We'll wait.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll wait. Yeah. I thought you said well, comma, wait. As in like, no, don't do that.
No.
You should do that. Don't listen to Anton. Just because we hadn't dropped the next single date, I'll hold off on saying that now, but we've got another single right around the corner coming out, and then the full EP drops after that, and we've got an EP release show that we're about to announce, and we're bringing a 13-piece band because we like pain. But we just ironed out the whole set and set list and everything, so that show's going to be great. So keep your ears out for the next single, the EP drop, and the show. We've reached out about some merch, some cool posters and stuff like that. So it's all coming. It's coming right around the corner.
That's
So
awesome,
keep
man.
your eyes out. It's almost here.
Well, congratulations to you guys. That
Thanks, man.
process is wild, and just like I haven't seen the full video yet. By the time this comes out, I will have seen it, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But just hats off to obviously Miles for doing what he does, but you guys too for having the vision and executing, you know.
Yeah, and really Chelsea did
Yeah.
so much of that. Like she, you know, I've said it before, but like I really come into play with the musical vision and kind of helping piecing that together sonically. But when it came down to the visuals, Chelsea kind of spearheaded what that looked like where we would go. And then we collaborated on it from there. Like we kind of have this refining process, both musically and vision based, where like the other will kind of, you know, kind of help round and critique whatever's going on. But like she had like the vision for the placement, how it was going to go. And then kind of worked with Miles on like, well, what makes sense here? What makes sense there? Choreographed her own dancing, which it's funny, you know, obviously we know her background and everything, but like there's musicians on the scene that don't know that that was her first discipline. And so like for KP, for example, I showed him and she started busting out into some dance and he was just like, wait, what? Where did this come from? So it's cool to like tie all these other elements in and like, you know, when it comes down to artistry being who you are, like in all facets, it's cool to see. So the whole team really just rose to the occasion. It was awesome. And there'll be more of that kind of stuff to come too. So
Hell yeah.
just the beginning. And now that COVID's gone, it won't take nearly as long to make albums.
Yeah.
We're all not so fucking, you know, wound up in the head. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's the thing. It started in summer of 2020 and here it is now.
3 years later.
But those years don't count. We all talk about that. Like that was pretty much 1 year. We'll say those year and a half, 2 years was 1 year, and then the other half was another year. So
Yeah.
it really wasn't that long if you think about it. That's how I'm convinced it was anyway.
Oh, it must be nice to live in that world, huh?
It is, man. That's my world, and I'm living in it too. Yeah.
Well, congratulations, man, and
thanks, dude.
we'll get you and Chelsea on here as well to talk about
Yeah, we'll
everything.
talk about the whole process.
Yeah.
We'll go in a painstaking detail. Give you every nook and cranny of what you got. Something to say? What you been up to this week, Mello?
Melody can't. People can't see her, I don't think, but she's hanging out by.
There she is.
Oh, she's on there.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. She's just chilling with us. I like to bring her to the office sometimes.
Mel, you got any hot takes this week?
Get him, Mel. Get him. She's the worst guard dog in the world.
All vibes, no thoughts.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, this week, again, we have Jon Deering, who's a great bass player. He was awesome to have on the show. It was a lot of fun. I've never met Jon before. Did you know Jon?
You know, briefly, I filled in with Firewater from time to time, but very like kind of on the gig, you know, small talking, making the music happen. We hadn't really got to hang ever, you know.
Yeah, it's you never know how that's going to go when you've never met somebody before, but honestly, having Jon on the show was so cool. He's a really genuinely like good dude and really cares about what he does, and I think that really came through in this conversation.
Totally.
You know, and his first podcast too, which is cool because that's also like you're not sure how that's going to go.
Totally. You just, you know, you can sit around and talk all day, but you put some cameras in people's face. You could clam up, you could shut down, but no, he just wanted to hang and talk about the music and all that stuff.
Yeah, and it was very cool. I really felt like we were having a genuine conversation. So we hope you guys enjoy it. We have merchandise available on the store. The link is in the description. We've got some cool stuff we're going to be announcing in the next couple weeks here with some big guests and some giveaway stuff. So we're excited about all that stuff we got in the works. So follow us, like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Let your friends know what we're doing and enjoy the episode above all else.
This is Bottom of the Bill.
Like just recently, you had Rambler Kane on.
Yeah,
That dude, I fucking love that guy.
he's so cool,
Dude,
man.
He's fucking amazing. He's always at the. There's a place right over here called the Connex.
Okay.
That's where my girl's band, the Blossom and Bone, they're at, and they have shows almost nightly there.
He's become a good friend of the show,
Yeah.
and I just saw him a couple weeks ago. I went to go see him play,
That's awesome.
and yeah, man, we got like an ongoing joke. Is this rolling, by the way?
Yeah, we're good.
Oh, word.
Cool.
We got like an ongoing joke because he mentioned something about Garth Brooks on our podcast, and then like and I'm not like a big Garth Brooks fan. So like now it's like a whole thing where like he'll tag me in stories about Garth Brooks, and then I'll comment like,
awesome.
"Where are the bodies, Garth?" You know, shit like that.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah.
That was that from that comedian.
Tom Segura.
Yeah, yep.
Bro, that's such, I don't know how familiar you are with all that stuff.
Very familiar.
But bro, is like, I mean, Garth Brooks, his net worth must have jumped quite a bit just from that joke. And then he like blocked Tom Segura on all the platforms and everything.
Yeah, he apologized to him on Rogan, I think.
Oh, really? He
Yeah.
did?
Kind of.
Yeah, it's like a Tom Segura apology.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Did you have you kept up with that even like recently?
No.
There's like a further bit now that like apparently Garth Brooks, whenever people mention the whole Tom Segura thing, he's got the video of him breaking his arm on that basketball dunk, the
I
really
did
bad
hear
one.
about that.
And he just shows that to people now. And he's like, this is the guy that roasts me. And then he'll show him like getting fucked, just like breaking his arm and leg.
No shit.
Yeah, Garth is like, he's a savage.
That's hilarious,
crazy.
bro. I love it. I love it. It's gonna help both of them at the end of the day.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
a little friendly rivalry. Although
It's a shame that he killed all those kids, but but you know, it's the price of stardom, I guess.
yeah.
He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep, experienced.
Well, John, thanks for being here today, man.
you,
Appreciate it. How you doing?
Good, good.
Yeah. You been busy?
Yeah, yeah, very busy. Not so much with music lately, but like I said, I just started that band with Bradley.
Yeah.
So we've been trying to get as much music down as we can with that, and then with Bryce Alastair Band, we've been not playing that many shows lately, but we're doing a lot of recording.
Yeah.
And a lot of writing. I mean, last night Bryce came over and probably 6-7 songs that I've never played before, and we just busted them out, and dude, it sounded amazing, like amazing. And it's all stuff that we're gonna be doing on the recording and stuff like that. So, and he just had a kid, so it's kind of that slows down a little bit. But at the beginning of the year, it's gonna be on for us with Bryce.
That's awesome, man. I'm
yeah.
excited to hear
Yeah, me too.
what you guys are working on. You guys played at Voussoir recently, right?
Yeah.
How'd the show at Voussoir go?
Good, really
Yeah.
good. Yeah, the guy, I can't remember his name that owns it, but man, he's doing a lot for Atlantic Beach music.
Yeah.
And have you been there before?
Oh, yeah. I played there a
I
few
love
times.
that place.
Yeah.
I love that place.
Yeah.
There's always that one guy that sometimes he has a white glove on and he just dances right in the middle of the floor. Nobody's doing anything. He's just the only one there just dancing.
Yeah.
Love that guy.
I have a mixed feelings about Voussoir only because, and I whatever, this is out in the world.
Yeah.
But like, you know, we just had a miscommunication on money one time, and you know, we ended up getting shorted. And you know, I had all the messages to prove what we had agreed on, and then it wasn't
That's a little
honored.
rough.
So you know, I have mixed feelings about it. It's a shame because I think that what I think they get good bands in there, and I like that they're doing comedy nights, and they're trying to like kind of cultivate an atmosphere for creativity and arts.
Oh yeah.
So it's it's kind of like, you know, I hate that happened because now I don't want to go and support even though they're doing cool shit. You know what
exactly.
I mean? But
I think for a while too, they were like mixing. They didn't know if they were like a cover venue or like, you know, a place to host events. And I know they've been leaning toward like the event thing. And like when you throw events, the money's kind of on you at that point, like selling tickets and things like that. I don't know. I'm hoping they've kind of like found a lane where they can like really thrive. Like you said, they do some cool community stuff. They've thrown a festival out there recently and things like that.
Yeah, they did.
And I think if they kind of find that lane, you know, instead of kind of mixing the waters, that's hard to do. Being one or the other, you know, it's not an easy thing to do.
not
like you
easy.
say.
Yeah, totally. It's for sure. But hey, I wish them all the best for sure.
They got some competition now.
Yeah, Bedlam.
Yeah.
Shout out to George and
Jesse George,
Jesse George, and all those guys. Like it's I'm playing there. Well, this will be out. I mean, this will be out way after. But I'm playing there this Friday, and then
nice.
I'm also playing there on the 8th of September. I think.
Oh, okay.
I'm like just putting together a band, and it
Yeah.
should be pretty fun.
How was it?
It was phenomenal. Great turnouts.
Awesome.
Yeah, they paid me everything they told me they were going to pay me.
And they turn the TVs off and everything?
They turn the TVs
wow,
off and
that's
everything.
so cool. That place is awesome.
Bro, have you been? You've been?
I built some of it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I work for Jesse George. He's got a granite company, and so I work for him doing the granite, and we installed all the bar and everything inside of there. And
Oh, dude, that's so dope.
yeah, I love that place.
It's so cool, man. I went there for the first time last week, and Glass Camels is playing, and I pulled up and I see like the lights and like the little the kind of like outdoor section, and then I see the band on the inside. And I walk around the side, and there's a food truck and a little outdoor patio area. Yeah. And the first thing instantly I thought was like, this place has a great flow.
Oh yeah.
Like you walk up, you see the food truck right there when you go up, and then you just walk into the music. You got the bar, you got the stage, and then you walk outside, and there's a little outside, hangout area. Yep. It just had a great flow to it.
Yeah, I was there for the whole process of him doing. I literally live right across the street. Like you walk right across Mayport, and I'm right there. So I've watched it go from what was it before it was Bedlam.
I forgot the name. Was it Mike doing work over there? It was like a jerky thing, or I played there with a corn dog a couple times.
Oh, is that where it's at? The oh shoot, I forget the name of it too.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Oops.
Yeah.
Well,
that's a good thing.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Bedlam now. So
it's
damn
Bedlam.
right.
Yeah, exactly. New staple.
Yeah.
And man, I love the flow. We were saying something about it. I love how creative Jesse is too.
Oh yeah,
he's got like this vision that I think that I'm like super on board with. We've been talking about stuff. I'm trying to get him to use bottom of the bill to get him some production content, video production work. But awesome. So we've been talking. We just been. It's all just spitballing ideas.
Yeah.
But like, I love his vision for the place. I think I would like to see more people in the arts in Jacksonville think like he does.
Oh yeah.
And not just think like he does, but then actually participate in the act, like, because what he's talking about is the kind of events that happen in bigger cities, like New York and LA, where they're like super immersive and they're like weird and like gets out there. And that's the kind of shit that Jacksonville is like lacking right now.
Oh yeah, it is.
And I love to hear him talk like that.
Yeah, that dude, he's always at a festival in his mind.
Yeah,
always. And it's like he was telling me, he's like, I want to have like a full band inside, and they're jamming out, and you walk outside, you can't hear them, and then all of a sudden there's an acoustic guy out there on the putting green, and then you walk around back, and I got a drum circle going on. It's like, dude, it's like a little mini festival there all the time.
I love it, man.
Yeah, he's doing good things.
Yeah, man. I'm excited for what they do, and I hope that it succeeds. Yeah. Let's talk about Second Fiddle a little bit, because I'm excited to see this project. Yeah, Bradley talks real highly of all you guys, and he's super stoked in the project too. Yeah. How did you guys start this?
So, like I was telling you, my girl's band, Blossom and Bone, we went to Kelly Parody's Christmas party, and so they wanted to like kind of jam bush it and see if Kelly would let them play in the backyard in between Bonnie Blue and Firewater. And so she was like, of course. So she sat up there and was playing, and I'm standing next to the fence watching. Bradley comes up. He's like, dude, I've been wanting to talk to you forever. I was like, what's up? And he's like, dude, please play bass for me. I've got this side project. It's going to be Paul. It's going to be Dan. He's like, I really need an upright bass player. Please play for me. I was like, hell yeah, dude. Of course. And about a week later, he calls me, and we set up a practice, and dude, we got a book full of songs now, and gigs on the calendar, and so
that's awesome, man.
I'm excited as hell for it. It's different than what I'm doing in a Bryce band, but it's fun.
Are you guys all writing together in this project?
It's mainly Bradley and Dan. Dan's got a whole songbook of music, just his original stuff, and Bradley's doing all the stuff he wants to do in Bonnie Blue but can't.
Right. Right.
So and then a shit ton of covers, and a lot of the covers I'd really never even heard of. I feel bad saying that, but I just never even heard of them. And now I'm playing them. It's so much fun. It's right up my alley. It's right how I play and everything. So it's perfect.
What kind of stuff are you guys covering?
Like Tyler Childers, which I've heard his name but never listened to his music before until Bradley, and a lot of Grateful Dead, and really a lot like that folk kind of style of music.
Okay.
And then of course with Bradley we got a lot of Dead stuff. So.
Yeah, definitely. I can see that. Yeah. It's funny. We played. You guys might have been at that festival too with Firewater. It was probably like 2019, 2018 maybe. What was that one down in Fort Pierce?
Yeah.
Bonnie Blue was on it also. Side Hustle played.
Yep.
And I can't remember what it's called right now. It was with Al Beltran and
It's kind of on that little island almost.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, Bradley and I, everybody else in the band in Side Hustle wanted to leave after our set.
Yeah.
So I wanted to stay and hang out with everybody. So I chilled, and then Bradley took me home back to Jack's that night, and we rode up all the way, and we're just like talking shit, and he played a lot of Little Feat and a lot of Dead, but early Little Feat, and then like just all this Dead stuff that I'd never been hip to either. I mean the Dead, but like B-side shit. You know?
Exactly.
And then like Little Feat, I'd listened to, but like never really like. Yeah. But he was showing me like this one particular album, and I was like, holy shit, bro, this is like phenomenal. And then we just talked the whole time, and we got to like know each other.
Yeah.
He's a good dude, man.
He is. He's awesome. I love him.
And Tyler Childers, bro, I fucking love him.
Shit's awesome.
How deep have you gone with him?
Just the songs that we've played.
Okay.
And, but I've recently been, I hear a song, I'm like, okay, that is Tyler Childers. I just knew the song. I didn't know who was playing it, but man, that guy's awesome.
He's such a great writer, man.
Yeah.
His lyrics.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Really, really keeping that genre alive.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I feel like the country Americana stuff is just so pigeonholed with like modern pop country, and he's just he and like Jason Isbell are like the dudes that are like carrying the torch for that
Sturgill
stuff.
Simpson.
Sturgill. There's a whole underground.
Yeah.
He like, I was kind of late to the game too, because I think you started covering one of his tunes.
Yeah.
And I think that's really where I put like 2 and 2 together, was hearing you cover his stuff, and then went down the rabbit hole. I was like, oh shit, I slept on this guy, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's hard, I would imagine, for like an emerging country artist that's trying to stay as close to the traditional sound, because right now the landscape in pop culture is pop country, and it's not my thing particularly. Because that's what like everyone's going for right now in the mainstream. I would imagine that it's really hard to sell yourself as like a traditional country artist.
Yeah, it's got to be.
I feel like it's such a good payoff though in the long run. It's one of those things that's like, you just bet on it being good, and good is just timeless. It's like, it's not going to sell a lot of records now, but people will still listen to it in 20 or 30 years, where this flash in the pan stuff is just going to be gone. I mean,
you get the staying power, and the longevity in a career, which sometimes is like a slow burn.
As long as you're willing to just be like, you know what, I believe in this stuff and I know it's good. Sure, it doesn't get the recognition, just grip it and rip it. It's like, this will pay off.
Yeah, totally.
All right, guys, this episode's brought to you by Best Buds CBD Store. If you're like me, maybe THC isn't always the right high for you, or maybe the legal status of THC has you a bit hesitant to indulge. So at Best Buds CBD Store, they have an array of CBD and Delta 8 THC products. These guys truly care about their service, so everything is meticulously sourced and prepared to deliver a top-notch product and experience. If you head to their website, you'll find all kinds of educational information regarding Delta THC and CBD. Not to mention, if you use promo code BotBPod, that's BOTB pod, you'll save 10% on your order. This is not a one-time deal. If you use promo code BotBPod, every time you place an order with Best Buds, it will give you 10% off. That's in perpetuity, forever. So head over to bestbudscbdstore.com and start saving on all of your CBD and Delta 8 products. Enjoy, guys.
So Second Fiddle comes out of you leaving Firewater, or was this kind of...
No, the Bryce Alastair Band came out of me leaving Firewater.
Okay.
Because once the pandemic hit, I got my girls got a couple kids, and one of them was sick. Like, we were actually out in Destin when I was with Firewater playing out there, and a few of us went on this offshore fishing charter.
Okay.
And one of my girls' kids got like really, really sick. And then we get back, and when we get back to Jacksonville, that's when COVID happened. So we're freaking out like, oh shit, our girls got COVID. And it's right at the beginning. So I decided, I'm not leaving the house. I'm not doing anything. And that's kind of what broke up the Firewater with me. And so I immediately called Bryce, because me and Bryce had just played together, because Dave was in jail for a little bit. So we had Bryce fill in for us for a few shows. And so the first time I met Bryce, we were in the parking lot, and he's like, I got a couple songs, let's play them. And me and him just clicked. Like his style of playing just was exactly of my style of playing. He came from being a drummer, and I came from being a drummer. So like we have that percussive style of playing.
Yeah.
And so, man, me and him just clicked. So right when, this whole Firewater thing happened, I was just like, Bryce, I've got to call him. I called him up. He's like, fuck yeah, dude, I definitely I want to have you. And at the time, he had Ernie Douglas playing bass for him, and he's always wanted to play guitar. So he's like, I'll just move Ernie to guitar. And he's like, come over tomorrow, we'll practice. And it was magic. I fucking loved it. I loved every bit of it.
And you guys have been writing together as well. So like this new project that you're working on is like very collaborative.
Oh yeah.
He seems like the kind of guy that fosters that kind of environment.
He does.
Very family oriented and really takes care of his people.
He does. Yeah. I mean, he's amazing dude.
Yeah.
And like even when I first joined, I've heard stories about Bryce being this wild and crazy dude, and he was breaking guitars on stage but he was just the alcohol got him, and so he's been sober over a year now, and
that's awesome.
I mean, the guy's. But I never saw that side of him, like even when he was drinking, he was an awesome, always about his family and music, and that was it. And the dude wake up, he'd write 2 or 3 songs every day. He's got just millions of songs. Like,
fuck, dude,
it's insane. He just that's all he does is write.
I wish I had that like in me like that.
No joke, it's a chore for me.
Yeah,
I don't know about the rest of y'all, but like I have to really think about it.
There's times where it hits me. Where like I'm feeling it and it'll just come out of me.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's maybe 2 or 3 times a year. And the rest of the time I have to really like sit down and force it, So for me, writing, I wouldn't call it a chore. Because I don't like to think of it that way because I won't do it, but I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Maybe that's not the right word, but it's, it's work. I should say that. It's like, whereas like, shedding, a solo or a scale is like that's natural, whereas like really constructing something takes just but some people write songs just like I would do a solo. They'll just sit there and go, yeah, it's as
boom,
easy as
here
that.
We go. I feel like I was better at it when I was younger. That's how Bryce is.
Yeah, it's insane.
Do you find yourself in the same kind of way, like you just get inspired like consistently and just comes out of you?
Pretty much, yeah.
That's awesome.
I mean, I can't write any lyrics. I think I've written 1 song in my life, and like the worst thing I've ever heard, it was bad. It was real bad. But like just with Bryce, he comes up with something and he brings it to me, and just give him what I know. And I don't know much about music as far as like theory and all that, but I've been playing for over 20 years now, and I hear what he's trying to do, and I just try to give that to him. And like last night we had a breakthrough in one of the songs that we were recording right now, and we just can't figure out the bass part for it. We just couldn't do it. Like 4 or 5 different styles of the way that we had to play it. And I was playing a regular bass, which I've never really done. I've always played the upright, and last night we just fucked around and came up. It would just hit us, and it was perfect.
What's that transition like coming from upright to electric bass?
It's difficult.
Yeah. Did you find it because like obviously going from like playing an electric bass to upright seems like an almost impossible chore. There must be some kind of because you're not having to like press as hard in the strings, and it's
exactly.
like the technique is just a little obviously a lot different.
Oh yeah.
Did you find that there were aspects of it that were a little bit easier for you, or just the whole thing was just a total mind fuck?
It wasn't too bad. I play a little guitar, and so I understand the fingering up here and like rhythm down here, but what I'm always used to playing is I'm used to slapping the hell out of my fingerboard.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And so you can't do that on a regular bass.
Right.
It's moving your fingers. So I spent a lot of time just sitting on my bed with just a regular little bass and just messing around and trying to get my fingers to move. And then Bryce, when we started doing that recording, Bryce was like, "Why don't you try the regular bass?" So I did that, and it was hard. It was real hard.
Yeah.
But I don't see myself doing it on stage much, but definitely for the recording, we're gonna have a couple songs that are regular bass.
Okay, so you're bringing the upright to Bryce's band then. If he wasn't, because it wasn't upright before.
Kind of. There was there was a few songs that Ernie would play upright on, but a lot of it's regular bass. But I'm straight upright the whole time.
Okay, that's awesome. And how does that fit? Because I know the music is like kind of more like rock and roll, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's blues, rock, and we got some country western stuff, but a lot of it's real bluesy and rock and roll. And I mean, I don't see anybody playing upright on blues or rock.
No, not at
the way
all.
that he does, and it's challenging, but it's fun, man. Because I grew up on rock and roll, so like we're playing stuff that I've always listened to, and now I get to figure it out on an upright, which to me is it's challenging, but it's fun,
Yeah, it's a whole different approach because it wasn't written for the upright.
No, not at all.
So you have to figure out like, okay, how does this motion make sense for me now? I want to go back to something you said a few minutes ago. I kind of want to unpack. What about the one song that you wrote do you think was bad?
Just the way the lyrics were put together, it just I'm not real good with coming up with lyrics, like how a song flow. Like Bryce will write a song in a minute, and I'm like, how did you come up with that? Like, but after playing with him for a while, I understand where he gets it all from. But I just couldn't figure out how to write a song lyric wise. It's just it's not in me.
Do you think that if it's something that you spent more time with and like nurtured it, you could probably get it down? Yeah. Lyrics are tricky because like there's this, you want to get your point across, but you want to say it in a way that's not so obvious and on the nose. But then you need like a certain amount of syllables to fit a phrase, and so there's a lot. It gets to be tricky. That's the part. I feel like when I do it, I can do it well.
Yeah.
But because I'm so like neurotic about lyrics, that I find that I end up giving up on so many ideas just because I can't get the lyrics out
exactly.
Right, Yeah. What do you typically like to write about if you're gonna like? So like that song in particular, like what was it about? Like the context.
Well, at that point in my life, I was living in a extended stay hotel in Orlando. I was going to motorcycle school for Harleys down there, and didn't have any money. Like my car broke down. I was driving just a motorcycle from Jacksonville to Orlando every day, or every weekend.
Oof,
and staying down there. Yeah, and it was just rough. And so basically the song was about that, like just trying to make it through a shitty college that now I don't even use,
Right.
So that was, and I kind of at that time I was thinking like, what am I doing? Like, I love motorcycles. I love riding, but I'm really not passionate about working on them, and I'm going to a school to learn how to work on it. So it was kind of a song about that. It didn't come together well at all.
I totally relate to that. Is it something that you think you might come back and try and like revisit at some point? You're just like, you probably don't connect to it anymore.
No,
right?
Not really.
Yeah. So you're a mechanic then as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's the and then you're a contractor on top of that?
Yeah, I install granite counters and all that stuff. So.
Got you. Yeah. And are like these things that you find like an equal passion for music?
No, music's my main passion.
Okay.
Like I said, I went to motorcycle school, and about a year after graduating and getting a job at a Harley dealership, I was on my way to a gig in Firewater. We were playing on a boat, and wrecked my motorcycle and shattered my ankle. And I wasn't out for a while because I literally played a dozen shows in a wheelchair with my foot up and my bass across my lap. But man. So I got healed up and I worked for Harley for about 5 years, and the fifth year I got a really good deal on getting my ankle actually fixed because they were talking about cutting it off. I went to 2 different doctors, and they were telling me, it's fucked. We got to cut it off. And I was like, well, I almost came to terms that, all right, I'm about to lose a foot. And I started dating this chick, and her mom worked at the Mayo Clinic, and she said that she can get me in there with the best, foot doctor in the world. And I was like, well, let's do it. And so he fixed my ankle, and the recovery process, I had to take off for like 6 months at work. And at that time, I decided, I was like, you know what? I don't want to do Harleys no more. I want to do this music full time. And so after that, that was my dedication, music full time. So
that's awesome.
And once COVID happened, kind of dwindled off a little bit, so I had to get a real job. And
Okay, so you were playing full time before COVID.
Yeah.
Okay, and was Firewater your main gig?
that was the only thing.
The only thing you were doing. And so now you're working after COVID. You're working like a regular job, and then you're playing with Bryce and second fiddle now. Was the schedule of Firewater once COVID kind of like subsides? Was that like a big part of leaving, or was there like creative differences, or what happened with that?
It
if you
was
don't mind.
difference in lifestyle, pretty much.
Okay.
You know, it's just we kind of got to a boiling point with me and a few members in the band, and just that whole COVID thing just popped it off. So
Yeah. Yeah, man. COVID, I mean, not to beat a dead horse with it, but I mean, it's like, it tried a lot of relationships.
It definitely did.
Side Hustle ultimately, I think disbanded because of it. And, there's a lot of bands that didn't make it through.
No, not at all.
Interpersonal relationships, girlfriends and friends, and just you're trapped, you're stressed.
Yeah.
There's money issues. There's just like, there's a lot. And then you're with somebody like that all the time.
Exactly.
And I can imagine, and then, I know for myself, I started my bad habits got infinitely worse during COVID.
Oh yeah.
And I became like, it kind of set the tone for who I became the next 3 years until, I started making some changes recently. So I totally get that, man.
Yeah.
Are you still on good terms with those guys, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of them.
Yeah. I feel you.
No, we're good.
Yeah. It's hard, man. Those are like, those are family ties. I feel like when you get that involved with people.
I mean, I've been playing music with Dave almost 20 years now. So,
Really?
Yeah. Because me, him, and Chris had a punk rock band before Firewater. And I don't know if you remember Jay. He was our mandolin player in Firewater.
Okay.
Little guy. He was in that band as well. And we were called The Hopeless. And we were a punk band. I was a drummer. Dave was bass player, and Chris was like the singer. And so, I mean, we did that for a good 5-6 years, and then that kind of dwindled off. And we acquired an upright, and me and Dave just decided, let's fuck around with this upright, see what we can do, and that's how Firewater started. So,
Wow.
yeah, that was a lot of fun times with that thing.
I'll bet, man. That must have been. I mean, even before COVID, you guys are road dogs.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like hitting every gig and just all over the place and just they're still going at it, but I mean, it's been like a constant thing.
Yeah, it has.
What was that like from its inception to the point where you left? Like, what was kind of like the mindset of how you tackled gigging, and what was like the dream overall, do you think?
My dream was it still is just to play music. I don't want to make it huge, I don't want to be rich and famous. I just want to play music the rest of my life,
Yeah.
And being on the road's one of my favorite things to do. And I know right now I got to buckle down and work to make all that happen, but my end goal is just to be a musician. And that's all I've set my goals to, especially once I wrecked my motorcycle and decided I didn't want to do Harley stuff anymore. It was like full on music. So
that's awesome, man. I feel that for sure. I want to go back to like, way early in your life and talk about like what got you inspired. Like, what were you listening to coming up? What was like, what were you growing up with, and what inspired you to pick up, music in the first place?
Well, since I was, real young, it's been me and my dad my whole life. And, he's always been the partying type. So, when I was young, I'd always be at the bars and shows or parties and stuff like that. And there's, back the late 80s, early 90s, there's always bands just like there is now, but there's always like rock and roll bands everywhere you go. And my dad, he was good friends with one of the guys in 38 Special.
Okay.
And so we'd watch them a lot. And, I told my dad, I was like, man, I really want to play music. And so he bought me a guitar one year when I was 9-10 years old. And tried to get guitar lessons from God, I can't remember his name. He was in 38 Special. He lived out here at the beach, but I can't remember his name. Eric Lundgren, that's who it was.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I went over his house to get some guitar lessons, and walk in the house, and right to the right was this massive drum set. I was like, I want to play that. And so my dad and him just sat there and bullshit, and I just got behind the drums and just, messed around and really didn't even pick up the guitar that much at all. And a couple years later, my dad bought me a drum set, and so I just sat there and just played my little heart out. And I think the first song I learned was December by, God damn, I can't remember their name. Collective Soul.
Oh, yeah, okay, gotcha.
It was just a simple little drum beat, but I learned that whole song all the way through, and it got me hooked on playing drums. And then I kind of got into cars after that once I turned 16, and did the car club thing for a little while, and started working at this place called Dick's Wings.
Yeah.
And I was dating this one girl and told her, I was like, man, I've always wanted to play drums. I had one when I was younger, and she's like, well, my brother's got a drum set, and he's been wanting to get rid of it. So she called him up, and he brought his drum set over and his guitar amp. He's like, let's jam. It's like, all right. And so he wrote a few songs, and it's Jay from Firewater, little Jay Dopke. And so we started a little punk band. So Dave came over, and he's like, I'll jam with you guys. And so we just got that whole thing going. I played drums as good as I could for a punk band,
Yeah.
And then, the punk thing kind of faded out a little bit around that time. It was probably like 2007, 8, something like that. And like I said, we acquired that bass and just took a left turn and started playing bluegrass music.
Yeah, I'm curious as to, because I guess like punk to bluegrass kind of makes sense in the landscape. Certainly there's overlap. I think like that I noticed like years ago, where there's like this kind of, I don't know what you'd call it, but there's definitely this kind of punk edge with a bluegrass, like
punk grass.
Yeah, punk grass. Okay, that's why. That makes sense. But like, did you grow up with like punk music, or is that just something you kind of fell into?
Just fell into it.
Wow.
I mean, literally the only thing that like the Bryce Alastair Band is the only band where I've like, that's what I listened to as a kid, and that's what I listened to growing up, is this type of music. And so I think that's why it was so easy just to fall into Bryce's music, is because, that's what I grew up to,
So this is something I'm fascinated by, because I have like a similar thing where the music that inspires you is not necessarily the music that you were playing early on, right? And that's kind of not the norm for most people.
Yeah.
Most people pick up an instrument and they start to play what they want, and then they join bands like that. What about it must have just been the pure like joy of playing music. It didn't really matter what it was, right? Because you had to stay inspired and but you didn't care. It didn't matter what you were playing. You were just playing music.
Oh yeah.
Did you fall in love with those genres of music?
Oh yeah, for sure. No Effects was one of my favorite punk bands, but before I started playing punk rock music, I didn't know anything about them. Like I just knew what my dad listened to, and that was it. So like, but now I love punk rock music. It's just playing it has made me love it. And then going to Firewater, we played a lot of bluegrass and folk and all that, and which there's so much different types of music now that especially Firewater, what we did and got involved with, it just opened my whole outlook on what's out there. And so now, I love all kinds of music now. I'm not set to one thing. Punk rock still is kind of the main thing I do listen to. Especially if I'm working or driving or something like that. But I really don't listen to music much when I drive anymore. But
I feel that, bro. People think I'm fucking nuts for that, but it's like, I don't know. If I'm driving, I like a podcast or
that's
audiobook or something, just to kind of silence
like,
even too, man. Especially after a gig, forget about it.
Oh yeah.
I just want to hear the tires on the road. Or if it's raining, let me hear those raindrops in the window, bro. I love that shit.
Exactly.
I don't need to hear anything. It was funny because like Billy and I always had this huge Billy. I don't know if you're familiar. Billy was a keyboard player in my band, Side Hustle. So when we were on the road, or even just like playing, gigs around town, if we rode together or whatever. His brain from the second he wakes up to the second he goes to sleep is just on.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to be alone with his thoughts for a minute. So he just needs music constantly going. Yeah. So we'd be like after a gig, like if we were like in Asheville and we had to drive home after the gig or something, he's usually driving overnight. So we let him call whatever he wanted to call at that time. he'd just be blasting fucking, EDM at like, just, I'm sitting there like, dude, we just played at a fucking music hall with like 3 other bands.
Ears are ringing.
Yeah. I've been like running merchandise and fucking talking to people all night. I'm like, I just had to settle up with the people. Like, it's just all this shit's been happening. And now we finally get into the van. It's peace and quiet. And then,
then he throws a rave.
Yeah. I'm like, dude, he's like, no, fucking, you just gotta get it. Which I love the spirit of it.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
It's so like innocent and happy.
It is.
But I'm like, dude, I can't. Like, I'm like, it kills
the same
me.
way. I gotta be like just silence or, a podcast, just something real calm, because it's rough, especially driving for hours. I drove 99% of the time in Firewater, so I'm constantly driving, and I didn't want to listen to music. We really listen to podcasts every now and then, but a lot of times it was quiet.
Yeah.
And it's peaceful as hell to me.
Totally. There's also like this element, like, I'll speak for myself on this, maybe you guys can relate, but like when music takes up so much of your mental real estate and your life, like when you're gigging and rehearsing and writing and or in the studio, whatever it might be, it's like sometimes you need a break from it. And like if I'm not playing it or anything, sometimes I don't need to hear it. It's like I'm constantly thinking about it and like how I'm like what all the things I should be doing that I'm not doing, or the things that I am doing that maybe it's always music, whether it's business or it's music, it's all related to music in my head.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I need a distraction. Like music for me is unfortunately not become a leisurely activity.
Yeah.
It's like it's a very active, intent experience for me.
Yeah, my fingers are always, all the time. My girl's like, "What songs in your head?" I'm like, nothing really. I'm tapping. I'm thinking about what I did on stage the other night, or just a new little thing. It's just it's always in my head, but I definitely don't want it over here too and over there, and
it's like
overwhelming.
Yeah, man. Or like when people have it on like loud at parties and stuff, and like it could be anything. It doesn't even matter, because like for me, I can, there's music obviously that I intrinsically love.
Yeah.
But then there's everything else that I can find the thing to appreciate about it. So if it's on, people will be talking to me, and all of a sudden, like I'll catch something. Oh, that was a really interesting spot for that melody, and then you get distracted, or I'll call it out while someone's talking to me. I'm like, I'm sorry, just it's hard for me because this is what I'm paying attention to.
Yep.
I could literally care less about what you have to say at the moment.
Exactly.
You guys feel that at all?
Oh yeah,
yeah,
all the time.
Yeah, it's what you gonna do? Sorry about it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't care about what your cat ate for breakfast today.
I want to also preface that by saying that I do genuinely enjoy human interaction.
Oh yeah, me too.
And conversation. But it's like there's sometimes when like the music is competing, or if I'm at a show, dude.
Yeah.
If like my friends are playing, or if I'm just seeing a band.
Yeah.
Like, please let's not have a conversation at that time.
I hate that so much.
I swear.
I hate that.
I mean, how has no one picked up on that? Honestly, at this point, like if you're watching music, it's the social part happens before and after.
Yeah.
Like,
or on the set breaks.
if something cool happens, be like, yeah, right? And you're like, yeah, that's the most I want to do.
Exactly.
That's it. Not being like, so where are we going after this? Like, I don't fucking think about it.
Yeah.
You tell me in 40 minutes.
And it's also like it's why I would get at 1904, rest in peace.
Yeah.
I would go and hang out in the sound booth with Eric all night.
Yeah, because he's working. He's grinding.
working.
He's not talking to your ass.
He literally doesn't even want anyone to bother him.
No.
I'll just like come up there and be like, "What's up, bro?" Give him a quick dap,
Yep.
and I just sit there and watch the show all night. And it's the best sound in the
I
room.
bet.
So you're like, yeah, this is where I need to be, and then whatever. You go and mingle afterwards.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, man, that shit drives me crazy.
Yeah, I don't like it. We just went and saw Ben Prestige, and
Oh, nice. How was that?
yeah, it was amazing. There's I can't remember the place that he played at. It was up in Georgia, a really, really, really cool venue. And Ben came up to me and showed me this guitar that he just built with a alligator skull inside of it, and the top string's just a bass string, and then he's got three guitar strings on the bottom.
Oh, that sounds dope.
That thing was amazing, like amazing.
He built it himself?
Yeah.
Oh, that's super
Yeah.
cool.
He's still in the middle of building it, but it's able to be played. So,
Oh man,
Yeah.
I wish I had that skill.
dude, it's amazing. He gets it from his dad.
You could probably pull some shit like that off.
I could try.
Yeah.
I could definitely try.
I'm sure there's like an understanding of like, you know, geometry that I'm sure you kind of have at this point.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then like you've probably done a lot of woodwork in your like, you know, in like your field.
Yeah, definitely construction.
Yeah. You know, so it's like I used to work. I had a brief stint of it. I worked at a music store in South Florida, and they hired me to come on to handle customer service
Yeah.
stuff like online and guitar repairs.
Oh, nice.
And I was like, dude, I could hardly work a drill. Like, what are we doing here? So the guy like kind of mentored me a little bit. The guy who was leaving, he was a luthier there, or he was a repair guy there. And so he kind of mentored me, and man, I'm just not good at it.
Yeah.
Like it, I mean, I could probably get there if I cared enough about it, or if I like, you know, had more time. But I swear, just like an example, it was like one time I was, I used to like build these, you know, parts guitars for
Yeah.
people. They'd come in and bring the bodies and the necks and all that, and you'd assemble them. For those who don't know, you'd assemble them, you drill the holes, and like then you put the pickups in and install everything. And so one time I was, I had to Dremel something. I forget what it was. I think it was like the piece, like where you put the socket for the, you know,
Yeah.
the quarter inch and all that. So I go to drill it in there, and I'm not paying attention. And instead of like holding the drill in place, I grab the Dremel itself, and
Ooh.
and it just fucking wrecked the palm of my hand.
Oh, man.
And I had a gig that night too.
Oh, man.
So I had to play a gig with a fucking wrecked hand.
Oh, that sucks.
It's just like I don't have the awareness
Yeah.
to handle tools. It's dangerous.
You sound like Corn Dog.
Dude, at least he's good at what he does, bro.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, he is.
yeah. Good at putting holes in his hand.
He's got holes in my wall too while we're at it.
Thanks, bud.
He also patched him up though, so
He's almost done.
yeah, he's
He's almost done.
Any day, bud. You know where we're at.
yeah. Love you, bro.
I actually got some stuff in my truck that I can fix that.
Oh,
so.
really? Never mind. We got Jon Deering, bro. Don't worry about it. Where did do you remember the city that Ben was in?
It was Georgia. God damn, I can't remember the name of the place. It was a huge like restaurant, and they just added this big old back half to it with a giant stage and a full sound and everything. And it's
Was it Savannah or like Tifton or?
God damn, I can't. I was so high.
Oh, okay.
Me and my girl smoked so much on the way there, I couldn't remember.
I'm always just looking for new venues, and
I'll
also
send you the link because
Yeah.
I talked to the owner, and they're hurting for musicians up there.
Oh, okay.
And it wasn't but like an hour and a half drive, so it's not far from here. But they pay real well, and they got a really good crowd every night there. So
Awesome.
yeah, I mean Ben's amazing, but he didn't have to bring anybody. There was a full crowd there for him all night long.
That's
So,
awesome.
Yeah, they're doing something good right there. They just don't have a lot of musicians that they want in there. Like she was telling me, it's all the same kind of country artists. It's the same song every time, just different musician coming through there, and they want more rock and roll and bluegrass and basically all the stuff we got here in Jacksonville.
Right.
So
Man, it always baffles me when I see people opening up like dope venues like
Yeah.
that in small towns, though.
yeah,
Because it's like, in order for a venue to succeed, like there's accurate data out there to
Yeah.
show you what kind of market you need to be in
Oh, yeah.
to sustain a venue of X cap size, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're building, and I don't know what that venue, the cap is. It sounds like it's a big split
It's a few
space
hundred.
outdoor,
Yeah.
few hundred.
Yeah.
I mean, we see it here, 1904 had to shut that. That's like 400 or 500 cap if they
Yeah.
really wanted to, and it didn't. I mean, it lasted a while, but they had to shut it down eventually.
Yeah.
I don't want to speculate on why, as far as like the competition with Underbelly.
Yeah.
But the rooms are kind of the same size.
Yeah.
So, like, I would imagine that a market of 1 million people, which is Jacksonville, probably couldn't sustain more than one of those venues.
Oh, easily.
I'm curious as to when people open up those venues in smaller towns, like how they're able to either they're the only game in town,
Yeah.
or or I don't know. That must be the only thing that keeps him going.
I think it is, because I mean it was in a small town, and like, I mean it's a huge place. And I was talking to Ben about it, and he said he played there before they did that big addition on the back, and it was still just always packed. And he played in a little corner of a room that they had there. So like, I mean they're doing something good there, but they just don't have the good musicians to come through yet.
Yeah,
So
it takes time to get all that stuff, and you get
definitely
you start to
does.
get the regional bands and all that stuff, and you
Yeah.
build it. Well, that sounds awesome.
They got Ben though, so
Yeah. Where's he out of?
he's out of South Florida, Fort Pierce.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I think I met him. I want to say I met him at Wani one year. I don't know,
yeah.
but yeah. I mean, he was. If it's the same person I'm thinking of, he's a tremendous talent, man.
He's insane.
Yeah.
He plays a damn closet door.
Yeah.
And
Does he really?
Yeah, it's a closet door with one string on it, and he calls it the diddly bow.
The diddly bow.
Oh, dude, it's insane. My girl's got a video of it on her Facebook from when we were just there. The guy's amazing. He's just insane.
Yeah.
And his brother's amazing too, John Prestige,
I know that name.
Johnny
Yeah.
Dett.
Okay. Yeah. That I definitely.
He plays at Fly's Tie a lot,
Okay.
and so does Ben. But
Gotcha.
yeah, they're both from Fort Pierce area.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
So have you ever thought about doing luthier work? Is that something you ever might want to do?
Not really. I mean, my bass, I literally cut a big hole in the side so that I can put an extra sound post in it, and I put spray foam on the inside. So, like, I don't think I'd be that good at it. I can make something sound a little better if I need to, but I don't know about building them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a whole. There's a whole thing to it, man. It's an art
oh yeah.
form.
Oh yeah.
So when I was doing the repairs at that shop, I learned about like all these, like, you go online and you read these forums, and then when
Yeah.
people start to talk about these luthiers and like certain regions that you have to go to, and then there's like all this stuff about, well, people get real snobby about it. Oh, there's no real luthiers in Florida. You
Yeah.
got to go to Ohio and talk to this guy.
Yeah.
And there's this whole like niche ecosystem of like people that do guitar like that repair, just wood instruments in general.
Yeah.
And it's really fascinating. Actually,
It is. I wish I knew more about working on uprights, because there is not a single good person in anywhere in the Southeast that does uprights.
I
So,
know that,
like,
man. So the dude that was training me was an upright player. He played in like a rockabilly band.
Yeah.
And so he was like super, like, he was always looking. So he did some work himself.
Yeah.
And like he would show me like like using these huge fucking clamps to like, or like how you can completely disassemble the thing and then
Yeah.
like glue like all these pieces back to.
That scares me.
Right.
That scares me.
But he would talk about that, how there's
Yeah.
not really any luthiers
isn't.
in Florida or the Southeast that you could trust to work on an upright bass, or at least like rebuild it or whatever, you
Yeah.
know. And that's like, I mean, what a predicament you must be in. To, like, if something happens, like, where do you go?
I'd fix it myself.
Yeah.
I mean, luckily I haven't had to do much to it in the past 4 or 5 years, but I've got a custom bridge that is made by this company. They're called Deuce Bridges, and it's an aluminum cast bridge that they made with their own special wings on them, and the feet are, instead of on an upright, the feet are just parallel to each other. These have one that's long and one that's this way, because I've had a problem with my bridge slapping up while I'm playing. And and it sounds like a gunshot's going off.
I'll bet, bro, that tension of the strings.
It's scary, but this bridge, it's supposed to never do that, and it's supposed to last you a long time. And then where you put your pickup at, instead of just wedging it in between two pieces of wood, it's got a screw with a little wooden dowel that you can adjust exactly how tight it's going to be on there.
Oh, okay.
But I had to order that online, and I took it to the only person that works on uprights here in Jacksonville, and he'd never even heard of it, and he didn't really want to touch it, and the guy's kind of mean. So he's a Nazi when it comes to it. So, and he sees my bass, and says, I don't want to touch that thing. So
Yeah.
I got to figure out how to work on it myself.
Yeah, that's a rough one, man.
Yeah.
Do you think it's like the the way that is it like the slapping that puts that force on it that makes it come down like that?
Yeah.
Because I don't hear about that as much with like the jazz guys or
No,
just
yeah,
kind
you
of
won't.
plucking.
Yeah, it's the slapping.
Okay. Yeah.
It actually happened to my girl one time at a show, and it literally sounds like a damn gunshot. And she's lucky I was there because I grabbed it and put it back on there, and she was, able to keep playing. But it took a few minutes. But man, it's a scary situation when that happens.
I'll bet, man.
Yeah, it was loud, very loud. So.
Like hopefully somebody doesn't pull out a gun and start firing off.
We're in Jacksonville.
Right.
we are.
This is Florida, bro. Stand your ground, baby. Yeah, man. So does this like affect your tone in any kind of way at all?
Yeah.
Like for the better or
No,
man.
Yeah, that's the one thing Bryce complains about. He's like, man, that thing just doesn't have no sustain. But I got a pedal board, and once I'm able to afford the actual pedals I want, it'll be a lot better. But I can't get the sound I get without the rig I have. And luckily it works. But
What are you running right now?
I got the GK, the same rig as Shane Platten.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Cool.
and then just a couple shitty pedals.
And you don't notice any like issues with feedback or anything?
No, that's one of the reasons why I cut the hole in the side and put an extra sound post.
Oh, okay.
And then I sprayed it all with foam to kind of deaden that, because I was having bad feedback problems for years with that thing. And, so I threw everything. I put a towel underneath the fingerboard and a towel wedged in between the tailpiece. And
Oh, that's why it doesn't sound good. It's not because of the bridge. It's
Yeah.
because of the fucking all the other shit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, it works.
Yeah, and it's your sound, right?
Yeah.
Like you've got it dialed in to where
yeah.
it does what you need to do, and it's authentically you.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. That's the thing that's so cool about that kind
Yeah,
of stuff, man.
I love it.
You listen to like old records. Like I was Chris and I. This is a while back. I don't know if you remember, but I was just for shits and giggles. I was transcribing the solo in 10 Years Gone, Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
And I was showing Chris, and he was like, "Man, what a fucking tone!" It's just like harsh and abrasive. And you're
awesome.
like, yeah, but that was Page, man. It's
exactly.
like, and like his style that was, I got a lot of shit for this one a while back ago on a TikTok post, but he was a sloppy guy. But I mean,
got a lot of shit for that one.
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, we all did. But that was his sound, bro. It's
Yeah.
like unmistakably
Yeah.
Jimmy Page.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. And like there's a lot of people that have that kind of thing where the tone is just like it doesn't. I don't know. Like we went to go see Theo Katzman. Were you at that show? This
I was
last time?
I was the one before that.
Okay, so when we saw him, Eric was telling me that during sound check, because they bring in these little tiny like Fender, like Princeton, like they're
Yeah.
just like little 5-watt amps, and they like roll off the bass totally on them,
God.
and it cranked the fucking treble on them, and they're playing Telecasters, and
Yeah.
like it's all very very harsh. But they have like an organ player, and then they
Yeah.
have like the bass and the drums, and it's all being run through ears. So like there's a lot of stage volume. It's like gone.
Oh, yeah.
So in the mix, I mean, it sounded fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
But like but because of the way they really played to the sonic space of each thing, right? They allowed every part to take up exactly what it needed to take
Yeah.
up and nothing more.
That's awesome.
And it's just you think about it, it's like really just this perfectly pictured this portrait of like colors that
Yeah.
just perfectly fit in place. It's
That's awesome.
it's wild, man.
Yeah.
So sometimes those are harsh and abrasive things. Like it works in context. you
Yeah,
know?
exactly.
There's for a long time I was like using my SG, and Chris even told me one time, he was like, "Bro, you gotta fucking that treble, man. It's too much."
That bridge, man, they're sharp.
Yeah.
They're real pointy.
I heard a video of myself after the fact, and I was like, "Yeah, you're right. That's real bad." And then I started playing.
And then you
Strat.
switch to a Strat. Yeah, that ought to
Yeah.
that
Well,
ought to knock it out.
I got the lace sensors in it though, which have like a darker kind of
Yeah.
tone to them, so it helps with that abrasiveness. I feel like
it evens it out.
yeah. Bryce plays a Strat too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you own any guitars?
I own a couple acoustics,
Okay.
and I'm not a good guitar player at all, but I can definitely sit down and jam with somebody if I needed to.
Yeah.
Can't do any solos, but I still love it. Me and my girl mess around because she's an upright bass player as well. So I try to play guitar and have her do what she wants to do on the bass. But it's insane. Like when I met Bryce, like I said, I saw his guitar playing style, and it was just, I was like, man, that's like almost exactly how I want to play guitar, but I play it on the bass, and he's very percussive with the way he plays. And to me, I'm in awe sometimes. I'll watch him, in the middle of a show, I'm watching what he's doing and his little solos and what he does with his hands. I'm like, man, how the fuck do you do that?
Yeah.
I really wish I can know how to do that on a guitar just so I have that in my head. But
yeah, I've never caught the band live. Honestly, I've been meaning to, but it's like, every time I always see it like the day of or like the day after, I'm like, oh, I didn't know that they were playing. That's
how most of it is.
Yeah.
I see the same shit.
Yeah. It's just like, and then also just like the gigging thing where you caught up in shit. So you jam. Your girlfriend is, again, I'm sorry,
Holly Bassett. She's in. She's in the Blossom and Bone.
Okay. Yes. Now you guys jam together. Do you ever like write together or anything?
We talk about it. She really wants to,
Yeah.
really bad. It's just, we're so busy with the family life and all that. It's hard to, but yeah, we're definitely. She keeps bugging me to do the double bass and jamming on stage. We did a little open mic at Trade Winds over in Murray Hill. Yeah. We did an open mic. It was a few years ago, and we had a couple songs that me and her played together where, I'd play the guitar and she would play the bass, and then there was one where I played the bass and she sang. But it's, like I said, it's hard with the family life going on right now. So
yeah, there's this thing because like my girlfriend Chelsea Michelle, she plays the Chris in Alchematic, and we don't like do a whole lot of jamming together unless we're like on a gig together or something. Like I always find that it's not because of like, I mean, there's always, I think, like outside stuff that ends up coming into the equation, which can make it difficult sometimes.
Oh yeah.
But then I feel like, okay, you gig, I'm gigging, and then when we get together to like just have us time, like I don't really want to play or like think about music. I'd rather just like go watch a movie or like go eat at a restaurant or do something else besides music. You know?
Yeah.
Do you find that as well?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's hard for both of us sometimes to get on the same page about playing music because like you just said, it's like I don't want to play music right now, and she does, or vice versa, and it's a little rough, but
yeah. So do you resist that time when? No, you go with it.
Yeah.
Like you said, okay, if I don't want to do this right now, but we're gonna do it anyways.
Yeah.
Okay.
Done that a couple times.
That's cool. I need to get better at that.
Yeah.
Right there.
You're still playing music at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Go with the flow, bud.
Yeah, I know. I'm so bad at that, bro. It's something I made it a point to work on more of that this year. Is like just don't resist things. Just allow things to happen.
Exactly.
It's a natural order of things will fall into place.
Yep. It's not easy dating a musician, and then when you are a musician and you're dating a musician, that's a lot harder.
Yeah,
definitely
bro.
a lot harder.
Because because then we're both very opinionated on something. It's like we could just be jamming and having a good time.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh, don't do that though. I don't like that.
Exactly.
It's like, well, I like you. I don't think you know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's like, I think I do.
Yeah.
You're right. It's just it's like you start butting heads. And you're like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Exactly.
And also, fuck you. Find something else to eat tonight.
Exactly. It's easy to argue when you're a couple.
Yeah.
And you're playing music.
Yeah, bro. Like after a while, you're just like, there's just too much comfort there.
Oh yeah.
It's like almost like trying to create with like a sibling or something.
Yeah, exactly. It's same thing.
Yeah, it's like we're too comfortable being mean to each other.
Yeah.
I don't like this. And it gets that way in bands too, though, man.
It does.
Like with Side Hustle, especially. Well, we all had a pretty good way of speaking to each other in Side Hustle. But like Billy and I we'd get mean with each other.
Oh yeah.
He'd be like, because his background is like early 2000s indie rock stuff, and then also like this more EDM kind of stuff, or just dance music in general. And he liked synthesizers and Four on the Floor and just danceable music. And I'm like, okay, well, let's maybe push the envelope a little more than that.
Yeah.
So we would just start getting really mean with each other and just start saying shit at rehearsals and writing sessions.
Yeah.
And Sean and Aaron would just be like, all right, guys, well, when's the fucking wedding? You know, you ever find that dynamic with like Firewater or the guys that you're playing with now?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much any band I've ever been in, it's been like that.
Yeah. I guess it's good to get to that level of comfort where you feel you can be that vulnerable with somebody, right? But it does get a little contentious.
I mean, at least you're not leaving stuff inside. At least you're getting it out. It might not be the healthiest way to get it out, but you're not sitting on it.
There's got to be a better way to express yourself.
You gotta have a feeling, just say the feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. Some of the shit that like you get away with saying in those contexts too, where you're like, dude, if we were like out at a bar right now, this would be a real problem.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Your mother probably didn't love you enough. That's why you wanted to do that fucking stupid idea right there.
Man,
it's like,
exactly.
dude, what?
I swear, it's only about music shit is when I get the nastiest. Like, otherwise, I'm pretty chill overall. But like, if you fuck with music, you know, like, I'm really, really passionate about that shit. So like, if you're just not meeting the standard or something, it doesn't take long for me to just like flip that switch and go, you should practice and get fucked at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh man, totally. All right. So I want to do something real quick.
Okay.
Can you guys think of like a specific time where you were in like a writing session or something and that things got said? Like there's like one time that comes to your mind and that you're like, that's like just irrational and just like it like shouldn't have gotten that far. I've got something in my head. I can go first if you want. Okay, so we were in the studio for the last Side Hustle record, and we were I'd gone down for the mixing process, and there was a call, like a mixing call that I made just on a panning thing or something as a production thing, and then when Billy came down with me the next time into the studio to listen to the tracks, he was like, I like that idea, but I don't want to do it because it's my song and I didn't make that call. And I was like, that's what you want to do right now? And we sat there for like an hour and it was like, bro, you're being a fucking child right now. Just because this and that, and he can't, well, you shouldn't have made that fucking call without me. It's not your song. And we just go off on each other.
Wow.
And then eventually I'm just like, you know what? You're right. It's your song. We're not gonna do this idea that we all agree sounds good, but we're not gonna do this idea because I made a mixing choice in post production after the fact. So it's all love, and I totally get his perspective on it, right? But like those are the kind of things that come up where you're just like, damn, dude, like that, like that's the kind of petty shit. But then you work through it, and then you're a band. At the end of the day, you still do the thing, right?
Yep.
Do you guys have anything like that?
Oh yeah. Was doing some gigs around town with this band, a tribute act, and we were getting our singer to play bass on some stuff, and you know, I was playing bass in that group for a long time and had all the parts down, like had everything there, and we're just trying, you know, really there wasn't a need to switch, but we were just trying to, you know, help the band dynamic a little bit and get them on bass. So we're sitting there trying to like go through the tune, show it to them, and like they just kept missing one change in this tune. And we sat down and go, hey, no, it's not like that. It goes like this. And they're like, don't think it does. And I'm like, no, it does. I've been playing it on these gigs with you for a year. It goes like this. They're like, well, put on the record and let me play along with it. So I put on the record, and then they just play along with it on the record. They're like, see? And we're like, see what? You just played it wrong on the record. Yeah. Like you're just convincing yourself, well, I saw it on a tab site and it was this and that, and then like it got into this full-blown thing where we're just yelling at them and calling them tone deaf and just like screaming at them like, you're tone deaf. If you can't hear that, then I don't know if music's for you. I don't like it got to we had to leave that rehearsal. Like that was the end of it right there. It's just like, yeah, you know, don't play it wrong. I'm not going to make a concession when it's not right. It's a tribute act, you know, like we're playing it like the record.
Yeah.
I'm not going to budge. And just because you thought you saw it on Ultimate Guitar that it was one thing, and you've just convinced yourself that's what it is, like you can't even hear that it's clashing against the record. And like my drummer was chiming in going, it's clashing. How can you not hear that? I'm the fucking drummer and I'm telling you it's not right. Wow. And it just, nope. So fuck you, you're tone deaf. It just got ugly.
Yeah.
You know, good times. I I love that stuff.
It's
All in the name of music.
friction, bro.
It is.
That's where life blossoms from.
Yeah, there was some life going on there.
Yeah. How about you, John?
Death, too.
I've never really had much of conflict with something like that. I'm more of a laid back guy. I don't like confrontation.
Yeah.
But just like I was saying about last night when me and Bryce were practicing, it's he didn't like the way that the original bass track I put down for this one song was, and we couldn't figure it out. And it's been 5-6 months since we recorded it. And we still can't figure it out. And finally last night we did. But I can see Bryce being frustrated with Ernie and them kind of battling, because they battle a lot with each other, jokingly and seriously. But
Yeah.
me and Bryce, he's so high strung and worried about everything, and I'm just complete opposite stoner, just like it'll be all right. And so we get along way too well. So.
Yeah, I feel that, man. That was like the it's good to have that balance, I think,
it
right?
is,
Because you want somebody who's worried about everything to to be on top of things. That you want somebody to like chill them out.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you know how to communicate that in a way that person can understand, then it can be a great relationship.
Yeah.
Sean used to be that way when we were on the road, because Sean also a bass player. Bass players have this thing to just kind of like be the chill people.
They do.
And,
yeah, they do.
And Sean was just always like, I'm just happy to be playing music, and I'm like, we're hanging out, we're on the road, whatever. And one time we were playing down in Miami, and we were on the way to the venue, and I'm like, getting in my head about some stuff, and I know the venue has shitty parking, and the traffic in Miami is shitty.
Oh yeah.
And so like I was getting all high strung about this, and he was like, just chill the fuck out, bro. Just you need to calm down. And most people that would like bother to say you need to calm down.
Flip a switch.
Yeah. But for me, I'm like, I need to be spoken to very directly like that. That's just the kind of person I am. Otherwise, I will steamroll the idea altogether,
Oh, for sure.
So my initial instinct is like, fuck you, dude. So that's what's happening in my head. And I'm like, no, he's right. You do need to chill out. Like, you're making everything more tense right now.
Yeah,
so I was
exactly.
like, yeah, you're right. I need to chill out. I'm just going to drive the fucking van down to the venue, and we're just going to take it as it comes.
Exactly.
So
Anyone got some EDM?
yeah. Yeah, that's funny, man. So I don't know if you're familiar. We do a segment called Unpopular Opinions. You guys would do some unpopular opinions?
Always.
We did a podcast earlier. Chris is known for not always having unpopular opinions lined up. We got
I've
two
only
today.
forgotten that I've already done one time.
Yeah.
Oops. All right. So buckle up.
Yeah.
The whole Bud Light makes you gay joke is so tired at this point.
Yeah.
I'm so over it. Like I love comedy. I love anything's a joke. Like nothing is off limits. Like there's been some good ones with the new Oppenheimer movie out there. Love a good joke about anything.
Yeah.
This had its like 10, 15 minutes. It had its meme. It was funny. And like no one will let it die.
Yeah.
Like it's just so boring at this point. Like, oh, he ordered a Bud Light. Ha ha ha. It's like, where's the fun twist on it? You know what I mean? It's so boring at this point. Like,
It's played out.
I know exactly where you're going with every angle. Like, just drink your fucking beer. I'm mad because I was already judging them before the whole thing for drinking Bud Light, for just
Yeah.
having a poor taste in beer.
Yeah.
And now now it's no one will drink it for other reasons. I'm like, y'all suck.
Yeah, but you can't hate on it anymore, though, right?
No, now I've got to be like, oh, you should drink the beer.
Yeah,
like, drink the shitty beer. It's great.
Yeah.
No, the joke's so overplayed. Like I got people I play with all the time that are still like, you're drinking a Bud Light? Okay, pansy. It's like, dude,
Let's move on.
you just ordered an espresso martini.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
And I'm the gay one.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, great
Yeah.
joke. Good times. Really love the internet for all that it's doing out there.
Yeah, I feel you. I mean, I think there's a lot. There's I think like the joke is played out. I think that like I could go down the rabbit hole and all that stuff. But yeah, I think the joke is totally played out. I think we definitely move on from the Bud Light conversation in general. It's just like, all right, dude, it was a risky marketing ploy. They lost a lot of customers. If you didn't like it, you got what you wanted, and if you did drink it, who cares? They're still there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They're gonna keep making it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy that people, and just like the outrage over it in general is just like, wasn't it like only like a limited run of cans they did it on?
No,
Anyways?
I want
one.
to. It was
one.
Yeah,
it was
that they
literally
sent to her.
they made like what, a 6-pack and sent it right
Yeah.
to her.
Yep.
It was not even widely distributed.
It's
Literally just a thing for you to put on your and
Exactly.
promote. It's not even like they're not even doing a big push.
oh my god.
Can you believe that much shit came off of 6 fucking cans of the worst beer you've ever had in your life?
We got fucking Kid Rock shooting it up with AR-15s. Like, dude, like relax, bro.
Dude, 1 round of that ammo cost more than the fucking 6-pack.
I mean, by far.
What the fuck are you thinking?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's really real cool.
It's real cool.
Real nice.
What do you think, John? Are you ready for more Bud Light jokes? Or
Dude, I don't even drink beer. So
Yeah.
yeah, the whole Bud Light thing. I mean, it doesn't taste good to me, but neither does any other beer. So
yeah, I feel that. I've always been a whiskey guy myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't drink anymore, but when I was heavy on the bourbon.
yeah,
That was my drink of choice. What about you?
I drink a lot of cider.
Okay.
Yeah, but like I said, I've never really been a drinker. So when I did drink, it was either a cider, and then of course with Firewater, it's whiskey after whiskey after whiskey.
Yeah.
So got to like a little bit of whiskey, but that's about it.
Yeah.
I love my coffee.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Big time. I've been
All day.
heavy on that for a few months now.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
on the coffee big time. You got an unpopular opinion?
Just that podcasts are way better than listening to music.
Yeah.
Literally,
get
I mean,
That is a
that.
good unpopular opinion.
I
I mean,
Holy
get behind
shit.
that's literally all I drove from Mayport to Middleburg and then back to Mayport and then here. And so I listened to, was it 1.5 Joe Rogan podcasts. So,
Nice.
you know,
He's, man, talk about a guy who gets a lot of slack these
Yeah.
days. I don't think that there's anybody who's more misrepresented
oh yeah.
than him.
That's another good point too.
Like,
You know? Like, I don't know, like people write him off as this dumb jock, and like,
Oh, he's far from that.
no, I mean, and he'll call himself dumb before anyone else gets the
Yeah.
chance to. He's like, I'm just a funny dude that likes talking to people. Like,
exactly.
why are you taking me so seriously? I'm just having a conversation.
well,
And then people will hang their hat up on that conversation, like, oh, he said and believes this. He's like, it's just an entertainment thing, you know what I mean? What are you doing?
Well, I think I don't totally disagree with you on this, but I do have some pushback on it because if he was only interviewing comedians, then I would say okay.
Yeah.
But he's getting like real people on
Oh, yeah.
that are like experts in their field,
Yep.
and he's interviewing them, and then he's engaging in a real conversation and having real thoughts about things, right?
For hours too.
For
not
hours.
just 5 minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
Like they go down the rabbit hole, and he's a great interviewer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. But you can't use the "I'm a comedian" thing as a scapegoat when
Totally you can.
when you say when you say things that are either incorrect or you said something in the moment,
Yeah.
right? In the context of a serious conversation, I think that you should own up to that and be like, yeah, I was wrong here,
Yeah.
or whatever. And sometimes
he has
Sometimes
plenty
he
of times.
does. He does do that, right? But there's also other times where he's like, but also I'm a comedian. You can't take what I say. It's like, dude, yeah, but like you weren't interviewing a comedian. You were interviewing a doctor.
It doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
So, you know
if it
what I
was
mean?
it doesn't, I mean, like, I don't know. That's kind of, I think that's stupid. I think it's like, he still is a comedian. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? Like, that's
but-
that's his ethos. That's what he
That's
is.
his mindset.
Just because he's talking to someone else that is that doesn't mean like, okay, cool. I have to now not be who I am because I'm talking to someone that knows what the fuck they're
dude,
talking about.
You can tell the difference though when somebody is trying to be funny versus when somebody's trying to make a point. And sometimes he's not. And look, I say this again as a big Joe Rogan supporter.
Yeah.
I
Oh, totally.
like him a lot. I think he's a net positive for society.
Yeah.
I love his podcast. That being said, I think he's wrong on. I think he's been wrong on some things. And I think he usually admits to it.
Yeah.
But also, I just don't agree with comedians using this. Well, I'm a comedian, so you can't take. It's like, dude, well, no, you can't just. That doesn't give you a license to just get away with shit, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you can't go for a joke or you can't have an opinion that's wrong, especially in the public sphere. But when people come after you for it,
Yeah.
that's just kind of what it is. Especially for the guys like Tony Hinchcliffe or Joe Rogan, people that are big like I want the government out of my shit type thing.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if like I'm all for it too, guys. But if you want the government out of your shit, then it's in the court of public opinion now.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. People get canceled, and the public takes it into their own hands when there's no recourse from the government. I'm all for it, but then you got to be okay with the cancel culture.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you can only get canceled by the people that support you, and they clearly haven't done.
They haven't done
You
that,
know what
yeah.
I mean? So like, you know, that and like people he'll talk to will correct him. You know what I mean? It's not like they'll just like let something blatantly wrong slide unless they're. I mean, I hadn't seen it. I listened to a fair bit of his stuff.
I also think he gets very wrapped up in the. I think he there's a lot of like there's a lot of like stuff, and I hate this term woke. Okay, I think it's so overused and just done with it already. But like, and I'm not either way. I think that there's a lot of people that use that as a form to troll the masses, right? So there'll be like these ideas that come out under the guise of like wokeism, quote unquote, and it's like some ridiculous concept. And then Joe Rogan will come on a show, but you see what they're talking about this now. It's like, dude, that's like not real though. You know that, right?
Well, it's
but like
also
sometimes he doesn't know because he's older too. It's like,
well, and it's so topical, and like, you know,
Yeah.
he does 2-a-days as well, and he's doing 6 hours behind a podcast.
no, totally.
Sometimes you just gotta, you know, it's on my head. I'm gonna talk about it. Okay, well, I was wrong. Guess what? There's 400 more hours of other shit you can listen to of my same thing. You know what I mean? It's
Totally.
like you just gotta spit shit out and go.
Of course. I'm just
know.
saying sometimes it's just, you know, I think it's great to support people. I just also think it's not like not everything that they do, like the people have flaws, you know, and I think one of his flaws is that he buys into some of the troll culture.
Yeah.
Right. And then because of his platform, he can actually push it in a way that he doesn't maybe mean to.
Yeah.
And then it can become like a real thing.
Oh, yeah.
So I think it's important to like, you know, for me as someone who listens, I listen to almost every episode that comes out because I like him as an interviewer, and I think he's a cool person too. He sounds like it anyways. But when I hear him do shit like that, I'm like, dude, this is not real, and maybe don't be talking about it in a way that seems like you think it's real.
Yeah.
Because then people buy into it, and it just perpetuates the outrage culture, I think, you know?
I also feel like it's in a minority when that even happens
Yeah,
at
yeah.
all. If it, you know, it's
Totally.
it's an interesting conversation to have, but I feel like it's pretty rarely the thing, you know, with his shit anyway. You know, it's like if it happens, it happens. You know, it'll get corrected, or someone will do some research and they can figure out it's not. You know what I mean? It's like there's not a ton of weight on it. It's just like dude's just sitting there talking. Might have it, might not have it. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, but to not make this a whole Joe Rogan segment. In general, yeah, podcasts are the shit.
Yeah.
Like, because he's backlogged. You could never catch up if you started right now.
Yeah.
They've become TV shows almost. You know what I mean? Like we're big Kill Tony fans, big production. Like there's also like the storyline podcast. Like I don't know if there's a great podcast that I forget the name of, but it follows the Scorpions tune "The Winds of Change," and to see if it was like
Oh yeah.
actually we've talked about this, right?
Yeah, I'm the one who told you about it.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if we've talked about it on the show or not,
No.
but like it basically goes to see if like the Scorpions are like a CIA plant in Russia.
Yeah. Have
So,
you heard
like-
about this
What the
theory?
hell? Uh-uh.
Yeah, to see if they're like trying
so
to
good.
put in radical change
Oh, wow.
in the Russian culture back then.
Well, okay. So can I take
please.
this for a second?
Yeah.
Okay. It's a phenomenal conspiracy theory.
It's awesome.
It's so much fun. I think the podcast is called Winds of Change, by the way.
Yeah.
And so the theory is that the Scorpions performed a song that was written by the CIA to influence Russian culture, and which is why the Berlin Wall fell and the Cold War ended, was because that song and other cultural, you know, things that shifts at that time, but that song being one of them that helped enlighten people as to why, you know, communism under that rule was so terrible. Now, here's the thing. So he at the end of the podcast, spoiler alert, he interviews homeboy Sebastian,
Yeah.
whatever, and asks him about the CIA thing, and he just starts kind of laughing, and he's like, "What? No, we wrote that song, and we are not CIA. That's crazy. We're not CIA operatives." Now, here's the thing: even if that's not true, this guy did his research. The guy who did the podcast, I forget his name. He interviewed ex-CIA operatives. He interviewed musicians. I mean, people from all over, every aspect of this angle, right?
And referenced like other historical things, like the Nina Simone thing.
The Nina Simone thing, yes.
Like all this stuff. It was incredible amount of work.
Yeah. And even if this particular case isn't true, it is a fact that the CIA and the government have used music and cultural phenomena to influence political landscapes in other countries. This is a fact. Nina Simone, who hated America, and ended up moving to South Africa and dying there because she hated America so much, was toured, in Africa, through it was to create awareness of. There was a purpose behind it. I forget what it was, but this was, and it was funded by some kind of charity or something, right? This was a shell company. It wasn't real. This was set up by the American government to influence one country in specific in Africa. I forget which one it was, because they were going under communist rule of some kind, whatever. And so they use Nina Simone as like a mouthpiece to influence the culture, to help overthrow the government. Now, this is a crazy thought, right? Yeah. But if you really think about it, the first kind of mode, or the first kind of line of defense, I guess, that you can think about when it comes to cultural influence is the arts, right? Like that's a direct reflection of where a culture is at. Easily. So if you're singing songs about whatever the landscape is in your culture, or whatever, you're just singing, if you're writing songs in general, it's because you're living in a certain place and having an experience in a certain place, right? Now, if you can make people aware of that experience, and furthermore, show them the success that you're reaching because of this thing, and this is an opportunity that doesn't exist where you're at. So you're like, well, this person's coming from America, and they look like us, but they're seeing success in their culture in America. Maybe we need to be more like Americans. And you start to second guess all the rhetoric that you're hearing from your government. Yeah. It's how every counterculture, even in America, happens, right? Oh yeah. Like the hippie movement in the 60s, and like the beatnik movement in the 50s. There's all this counterculture that has music, jazz before that, right? Yeah. There's all this counterculture that has a soundtrack to it. Easily. You know, so it's crazy to think about. So CIA people that he interviewed admitted to this being a tactic. Hollywood worked closely with the CIA to put spies under disguise or whatever. The only reason why we know about that is because their method now of putting people undercover has changed drastically from just hair and makeup. Right? So we have other things now, but that they used to do that. That was a way to go in disguise. Winds of Change is the podcast. Totally check it out.
And and that's just one example of many. I mean, like, podcasts are definitely, they're the new audiobook, they're the new TV, they're the new album. I mean, like, I just can't. They're awesome.
Take Your Shoes Off podcast. I highly recommend.
That's another great one.
You have to watch it though on YouTube, because Rick Glassman, he's a comedian. Are you familiar with this podcast? Oh, you are?
I haven't watched it, but I've heard of it.
Okay. So he's a fucking genius. Okay. Yeah. The way that he's having a full on interactive conversation. He's very engaged. Yeah. Okay. He's asking phenomenal questions, but then he's paying attention. It's all like self-produced. So he's like paying attention to the cameras and making sure they're all running all the time. Oh, wow. He's live editing on the spot. So he's like having a conversation, and he thinks about, oh, I can do this in post to really help make this part shine or whatever. So then, so throughout the podcast, like little cartoons will pop up and little shit.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
It's so wild, but this is all things that he's thinking about while he's fully engaged in a conversation. It's wild, and they get deep. It gets funny. It gets awkward. Yeah, it's a roller coaster ride.
Check that one out.
Yeah. So yes, to your point. What a great unpopular opinion, especially on a music podcast, which is like the whole thing. I'm surprised no one's ever said that before. Yeah. It's like I love it. I don't know if it's certainly unpopular. I don't know if I fully subscribe that I like podcasts more than listening to music, but I will say that I listen to more. I listen to podcasts more than I listen to music.
Same here.
For sure.
For sure.
And more than I watch TV at this point.
Oh
you know,
yeah,
like,
I do not. Well, I don't even bother with television anymore. I mean,
Yeah.
Netflix streaming. If I'm watching a certain
that's
show.
what I mean. I mean podcast over streaming, but now I definitely go to YouTube before I'll go to Hulu or anything like that.
Yeah,
And it's
totally.
Just, I mean, that's just where there's so much good stuff.
So I'm engaged. I'm just pulling up my unpopular opinion. It's in my
Yeah.
notes here. I have to write them down because I got a lot of them. You know what I mean? Don't want to repeat. Okay. We kind of touched on this on one of our one of the last podcasts, but it wasn't an unpopular opinion. But here it is. Can we turn the fucking TVs off at cover gigs?
Oh, dude.
Oh, my God.
We did have a little touch on that.
I fucking, dude, like,
Especially when it's right above the stage.
oh my God,
Yeah.
bro. There's one place that I play that they used to turn it off, and then the staff during COVID all left that place, and now it's all
Yeah.
new staff, and they stopped doing it after COVID. But they used to turn the TV off that was at least right above us. Now they just leave it on. And I'm just like,
Wouldn't be a place that canceled all your gigs recently, would it?
no, it's not that place.
Okie dokie.
But you know, it's the other place that you thought it was originally.
Look at that.
Yeah. But yeah, bro, like I can't compete with sports,
No.
especially like a Jaguars game in a city where the culture is like everything revolves around the Jaguars
Oh, yeah.
here. I mean, there's a rich music history in Jacksonville, but music is not the culture here. It is football and surfing.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's basically what it is. So if I'm playing music in a bar and you want me to entertain your crowd, why would you make me compete with the television? I mean, I was at a place down in Orlando. My friend took me to this open mic and I walked in. I was going to play because I have some new tunes I want to try out. So I was going to play, but I walk into Smoky Bar. There's nobody in there other than like a couple people just sitting there, just chain smoking cigarettes at the bar. It's like this guy is like singing, and he was pretty good, but like it was very like just felt like destitute, you know. And on the televisions are on, and they're playing movies like old movies with no sound or subtitles. I'm like, why do you even have them on?
Wow.
It's like, can you just turn them off and let this guy have a little spotlight?
Yeah.
He's playing songs that he wrote. And so I looked at my friend and I was like, hey man, I'm not playing here.
Yeah.
Like I'm not above, you know, like a gig, but at the same time, this isn't a gig and I don't need to be here on a night off. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
Devil's advocate.
Yeah.
I kind of like it because it tells me how hard I have to work that night. And I don't like working harder than I have to. If you're telling me that you don't give a fuck, then I definitely don't give a fuck. And I appreciate that because then there's like this unspoken contract of like, all right, cool. People are doing other shit here. I'm not really gonna, like, if they're really giving it to me, fine. But my baseline is not going to be super hardworking at that point. If they are asking for it, I'll go there. But if I walk in, the TV's on, and I'm just going to start, and I'm like, okay, we're doing this, then cool.
Okay.
Looper's going on, I'm chilling, I'm hanging out. My check stays the same, you know? It's disrespectful, and I make a mental note of that.
Yeah.
But you're telling me how hard I get to work, and I don't mind that.
I have a point I want to make on this, but do you have anything to say on this subject?
Yeah, it's we've not played until games have been over, just because I mean, you know, we've played when games are going on, and like a crowd full of or a room full of people that's cheering for something that just happened will definitely be louder than anything you're playing, and that just that hurts.
Totally,
Sometimes
man.
It definitely hurts.
Totally.
But
And here's the thing, okay? Like it does hurt, and also to your point about how hard you have to work, it's more important to me that I'm here doing something that I should love to do, right? Mm-hmm. Now, when I walk into a room and I'm already playing for a disenfranchised audience, they don't really give a shit, right?
Yeah.
No one walked in expecting to be an audience here tonight, right? So I have to now, for these people that don't care about me being here now, also there's a game on, or even just some bullshit movie that no one's even watching, whatever. I have to now compete with this. It makes me feel undervalued, underappreciated, and yes, it hurts. And then I leave there feeling like, what am I even doing?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not inspired to play. I'm not inspired to write. I'm not inspired to practice. And then ultimately, it's why so many people in towns like this give up on playing music, because there's no support from people outside of that are directly involved with music. It's usually other musicians, which is hard for us to support each other because we're all working at the same time.
Exactly.
And a small group of people, which we love you guys, that come out to like the jam sessions or they come out to see their favorite bands play night after night. And those people are like, thank you for doing that. It means the world to us.
Exactly.
But there's a million other people in the city that don't give a fuck about what we're doing. And to have to compete with that, it lets us know where we stand in this town or in towns across the board. And yes, it lets me know how hard I have to work that night, but I don't want to feel that way. And it's uninspiring.
Sure. And that's something I do personally, and I would implore anyone to do it. But like, I do not set my value on those gigs. Like,
no, I know that.
And you know where I'm going, but like, I've got 5 original creative projects that are all doing their thing. Like that, going to play bar A, B, or C is punching the clock. Like, yes, I love the work and I'm good at it and this and that, but like, it could go great, it could go terrible. It does not move my needle at all. And like, everyone's different, you know what I mean? But for me, like, okay, put the game on, have a mariachi party on the dance floor. I'm gonna go up there and play my 30 to 35 songs. Either put money in my jar or don't. I'm going to get the check and I'm going to go home.
Yeah.
Like, sure, there's some good nights. There's some great nights. And those they help. But if it's a bad night, don't care. You know what? Because I've got, all right, my fusion band's going to rehearse the next day. Then we're going into the studio the night after that. And then we're going on a run this next weekend. You know, it's like that one night with the TV on, with the people being complete chodes, it just doesn't wear on me.
No,
like
totally.
It does on some people.
Yeah.
And everyone's a little bit different, you know?
And for most people, it's also not just one night. It's like their livelihood where they're doing it 5 nights a week.
Well, one day at a time, right?
Yeah. And overall, like, you can put up with it on a gig per gig basis. It's fine.
Yeah.
But it's bad for the morale overall.
I agree.
Oh, yeah.
If you're at a corporate job, all right, and you're working in a place that you feel is, for lack of a better term, detrimental to your mental stability, then it doesn't inspire you to want to be better for that job.
Sure.
Right? That maybe as an individual, you can take it on a day-by-day basis. Like, man, that paycheck at the end of the week is really good. I got a family to support. I'm doing it. Right? And then when I leave here, I leave it at the job, and I come home and I be a family person. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And that's totally fair. But overall, for the morale of a culture, it's not good, and it's not sustainable for if you want that culture to exist in the place. You need to value it more than that, right? Not you. I'm saying like the bars and just in general.
I totally.
Yeah, when you get silence after a song, God, it's the worst.
It's brutal, bro.
It's the worst.
You crush, and it's like nothing for that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
You get silence because there's a game on or something like that. That's rough. But man, we played. I've played a few of them, but the Outlaws Motorcycle Club.
Oh yeah.
We've played some of their parties at their club's house, and we've done it a few times in Firewater. And so I was pretty used to it, and we got asked as a Bryce Alastair Band to do it, and I had to tell them, I said, look guys, it's gonna be a rough gig because nobody's gonna clap, there's just gonna be eyes on you, and there's no emotion. Like, you're gonna feel like you're doing the worst you've ever played in your life. But when you get off stage, they're gonna praise you, they're gonna love you, like they're gonna say what a great thing it is, and you'll probably get gigs after that and blah blah blah. And so we show up to the gig, and it's exactly like I told them, and I can see everybody in the band's just sweating, and it's like, man, we just rocked our asses off, and there's not one clap, not a whistle, nothing. It's just dead silent.
Takes it out of you.
Man, it's so rough. But we got off stage and they pretty much swarm us. I mean, you guys are awesome. We love you guys, and we want you on the next one and all this stuff. Like, really? You didn't show any of that.
I know,
dude.
right?
Like, I thought we were about to get our asses kicked.
Right. I know, bro. I know. It's hard, man. It's really, I don't like to be the musician that complains about the things, because there's worse careers to have.
Oh yeah.
And all that, but we we oftentimes put it all out on the table and it just gets left there. And you're like, well, I'm not getting anything in return.
Yeah.
And like I can leave a 3-hour or especially a 4-hour gig, you know, just totally depleted.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, man, I feel like I just worked a full day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
We all want good work environments, guys.
Yeah.
Exactly.
At the end of the day.
Listen to the podcast. Turn off a fucking TV or two.
Yeah, exactly.
And clap. Please clap.
Clap.
Please clap.
Maybe throw another $50-$100 on that
Yeah,
check
exactly.
too. You know what I mean?
Please.
It's not hurting anybody.
Please validate us. We need it.
We're not
Our-
narcissists or anything.
Our only sense of worth is music.
It's true, though.
Yeah, I know.
Real talk.
Well, John, thanks for so much for being here, man.
Yeah,
This
hell
is a
yeah.
lot of fun.
Thank you, man.
Hell yeah. All right, guys. Well, yeah, subscribe, follow, all that good shit. Thanks for tuning in. Is there anything you want to promote?
We got the Bedlam show next Saturday, not this Saturday, 26th. at
Okay.
Bedlam.
I don't think this will be out in time for that one.
It's all right.
But check out Bedlam because they'll be back.
Check out Bedlam. Check
Yeah,
out Second
exactly.
Fiddle. Check out Bryce Alastair and all those guys. And yeah, I'm going to make sure to catch both of the bands soon. 'Cause
Hell yeah.
I definitely need to see you guys.
Awesome.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Hell yeah.